So, La Perla is a beautiful lingerie brand that I first discovered through my grandma. And I wanted to talk about it today because, first of all, I really fell in love with what they do. And secondly, I was really shocked and surprised with something I found out when I was doing my research. But we'll get into this later. So, before we get into what La Perla is all about, I think it's really interesting to know how the world has evolved. So this is to give us a bit of an idea of what women's underwear looked like, and have in mind that there wasn't exactly a specific thing for each year, so it was like a constant evolution. The idea that corsets were uncomfortable is actually a bit of a myth. Many women found them supportive, and well-made corsets could be quite comfortable. However, the other side of the story says that they were harmful and they caused a lot of pain. I guess we won't know unless we actually talk with someone from the 19th century. In the early 20th century, corsets were really popular. Women were also wearing bloomers, which were loose, puffy underpants worn underneath skirts and dresses. So wearing multiple layers was a sign of modesty. I believe that the beauty of humanity is that somebody won't just invent something like this, but they will get inspired from the ideas of others to invent something better. So these women over here contributed to the invention of the modern bra, who was patented by Mary Phelps Jacobs in 1914. In this period, slips were really popular. They were simple, lightweight undergarments worn beneath women's dresses. Around the 1930s, women were wearing garter belts, which are these over here, and they were used to hold up stockings. So stockings are long, fitted socks that cover the legs up to the thighs or just above the knees. So women wore garter belts to keep them from falling down, since elastic tights didn't exist yet. During these periods, corsets were still popular, but other inventions were born. World War II led to a shortage on metal and other materials used on doing the corsets. High-waisted panties and bullet bras were born. Women were also wearing girdles, which I found they help improve your posture. Okay, so now we're getting into the 1950s, which is the birth of La Perla. Ada Mazzotti's success was largely built on her determination, passion, and skills as a craftswoman. She was born in Italy in the 1927. So she had an interest on designing, and that's what led her to work for a large company making corsets. So in 1954, Ada opened her own small atelier in Bologna in Italy, where she began crafting luxury corsets. At that time, corsetry was still an essential part of a woman's wardrobe, but most corsets were mass-produced and lacked the attention to detail and quality that Ada wanted to bring to women. So the job she had before opening her small shop was really valuable to her, as she was able to learn the skills involved in producing these items. So I feel this is a life lesson for all of us, as whatever we're doing, if we're in school or if we're in a job, I feel that we can always learn something valuable to our life that we can maybe use in the future. So Ada rejected the idea that lingerie should be something women only wear for their partners or for a daily thing that you have to put on. But she wanted to make a statement of femininity, empowerment, and elegance. So her lingerie pieces were designed to make women feel confident, comfortable, and sensual, all at once. La Perla means the pearl in Italian, and she sold her first collections in these velvet boxes, resembling a jewelry case. So how beautiful and unique is that? Ada was really inspired by the classic elegance of Italian fashion, and whilst the initial founding of La Perla are not well documented, I can imagine that she was surrounded by skilled artisans, and in the end of the day, she was in Italy, which was renowned for its silk and textile manufacturers, so she was able to source the materials she needed. The 1960s was the time of the hippies and the flower power. So La Perla introduced colorful lingerie with floral and multicolored patterns. By this time, La Perla was introducing local print media, and mostly word of mouth was their way for advertising. The 1970s was a commitment to women's rights, and the world was shifting towards a more natural silhouette, giving birth to the triangle bra. So obviously, this led to the creation of La Perla's triangle bra. By this time, La Perla was well known in Italy for their attention to detail and their quality. 1980s was a really important year for La Perla because they expanded internationally. The brand started selling outside Italy, notably entering the US market through high-end department stores like Bloomingdale's and Saks Fifth Avenue. This was thanks to Ada Mazzotti's son, Alberto Mazzotti, who took over the brand in 1981. They were also appearing in fashion magazines and doing runway shows. 1992, Ada Mazzotti passed away, but La Perla continued to evolve under the leadership of his son, so it was in good hands. They also made some iconic pieces like the sculptured bra, which was super popular because it shaped the body beautifully. In 2008, La Perla was sold to the American private equity firm JH Partners. This was the end of the Mazzotti's family involvement in La Perla's management. In 2014, La Perla did a collaboration with Jean-Paul Gaultier, and in 2017, Kendall Jenner became the face of La Perla. I think this was the time when they started seeing some problems and some little issues that they had to fix, but we'll get into this later. La Perla has always stood out for its quality and for their thoughtfulness when choosing the best fabrics. So I think that's the differentiation from a brand and a luxury brand. It's the quality and, most importantly, the values that they have. So I don't think that the influencers or the advertising or even the brand name is that important. So let's discover the secret recipe of La Perla. They use Lever's lace, which is made using special looms called Lever's looms, and it was invented in the early 19th century. These looms can weave thousands of fine threads together, creating detailed and three-dimensional designs. Next, we have Chantilly lace. This material is sourced from France, and it has a delicate appearance. I know that from here they might seem quite similar, but trust me, they're different materials. Valenciennes lace is a flatter with a smoother texture and intricate floral patterns set on a diamond-shaped mesh. And it was traditionally used in bedlines in the 19th and 18th century. Sautage is a technique that draws upon the skills of experienced artisans. It uses ribbons of silk or lucra that are meticulously stitched into beautiful patterns. Frastaglio is an intricate embroidery technique that creates raised and textured patterns on fabric, and it's really used to add depth and detail. We can see cotton in their bodysuits and in their trousers. Macrame is constructed by cleverly knotting threads together into romantic shapes. Moving on to silk care and washable silk. I think if everyone slept in a silk pajamas, we would all have a deep sleep. La Perla uses lace care in many of their items. Just appreciate the detail. We have modal care, which is a semi-synthetic fabric. Lastly, there's lycra, which is primarily used in their swimwear collections, and it stands out for its elasticity and flexibility. Now, I was really shocked when I knew that La Perla was struggling financially. So as you know, La Perla was sold in 2008 to a private equity firm called JH Partners. 2013, Alberto Mazzotti, Ada Mazzotti's son, passed away. In that same year, JH Partners sold La Perla for $69 million to an Italian entrepreneur called Silvio Scaglia. And then in 2018, La Perla was sold to Tenor, which is owned by a German financier, Lars Windors, who acquired 100% of La Perla's shares. La Perla has experienced significant losses in these recent years, and I think one of these reasons is because there's too many ownership changes. So this creates instability because everyone is trying to implement a new strategy and a new vision, but it lacks the magic we were talking about earlier. Another reason why it's seeing so many losses is because they're not really attracting the younger generations. So, for example, me, I'm young, and I would definitely buy from La Perla. But it is true that if my grandma didn't talk about it, I wouldn't be aware of it. So I think they should find a strategy that both respects their values and their craftsmanship, but also stays connected to the people and kind of builds a relationship. However, I want to be honest, and I'm going to say that I don't quite understand why people are not buying from La Perla, because the prices are not extremely high, and I feel the solution wouldn't be lowering the prices. But then why is La Perla seeing a fall in demand? I'm aware that La Perla doesn't really use much social media, and I'm also aware that they're quite disconnected from the Asian market. But I'm not gonna give up on La Perla, and I really think it has the potential of being timeless. So overall, I think it was just a mismanagement and a bad organization from the ownership side. Let's leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this video because I really learned a lot by doing this, and I hope to see you very, very soon.